rolling up in blacked out cars, talking like they own the stars, smiling for the camera flash, hands in your pocket, counting cash. Trust us this time, they'll stay. Same old trick in a brand new script. Waving papers, selling hope. Fine print line is a velvet rope. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, they love the power more than the people they mark. Every problem, they've got plans. Step 1, take more from your hands. Step 2, pick a team to blame. Step 3, walk off with the game. Talking justice, talking care, till you ask, hey, why's my street bare? They built mansions on those dreams, then called you cruel when you asked what it meant. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, they love the power more than the people they mark. Raise your hand if you're tired of the show. Same old play in a thrift store coat. They talk like saints, vote like sharks, writing your life with invisible marks. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, yeah. The mask falls off when the cameras go dark. Blue suits, black hearts, with Dundee ain't pops in their
And we're live. Is that right, Scott? Are we live? Are we here?
The debate is still out there.
We're live.
That's true. But we're not cadaver.
We're live.
Everybody.
But we're not necessarily alive. Yes, got it.
We're live. We're not mortally challenged, and so we're allowed to vote. We're in California for You Radio, starting off this week, and for everyone out there, we're going to remind you 5,500 times, it's showtime, meaning the election is on. Those of you waiting for June 2nd, God bless you, but we have to vote, and we have to vote now. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have Gloria Romero on running for lieutenant governor. And no matter who you vote for, unless you're voting for Democrat and kick race, burn your ballot, get out there and make sure you get your vote cast. And I want to start off, I've done a number of those this week. And as you know, we blast this out on social media everywhere, at Netter Mike on Twitter, at TextFighter7.com on Facebook. It's being blasted out in our rebuild groups, the Steve Hilton group, mine on LinkedIn, YouTube. It's very important that you share the show tonight. The second most important thing you'll do this week, which is voting. In Netter News today, which is free, and you have that kind of money, which came out again this evening, we put a number of voter guides on to help things you're not sure. Because I want to stress again, 100% of your ballot, not just turning in for governor or your local city council, is extremely important. I did a long show on Monday
Mike,
night.
why is that important? People might not understand the drop off between the top of the ballot and the bottom.
Well, I'll use my race as an example. There's going to be about a 45% turnout, if we're lucky, of people that turn in ballots in California. In my race, the exact same group of people, there will be about a 20% turnout. The party of apathy takes over as you go further down ballot. But let me start with something. We're free. We finance ourselves. Netter News is free. The subscriptions are free. But if we were to pay each of you, and we're not going to, don't get too excited, $100 to watch the show, you would jump on that and do that. If I told you I was going to send you $100 in the mail, you'd be looking for that envelope, you'd open it up, and you'd put that $100 in your wallet. When you get your ballot in the mail, I'm going to introduce my co-host for 1 second. I've been remiss. It's been a busy day, as you can imagine, with my election going on. Treat that ballot like it's $100 bill. The number of people on shows that tell you they've misplaced the ballot, they didn't know what it was, got it in the mail. Treat your ballot like it's currency, because throwing away or losing that free like losing $5,000 to $10,000 check, because that's what it cost you to keep electing in your wallet. That's my opening rant. Kurt English, Scott PR. Gentlemen, because I'm extremely upset, and why I'm holding fire a little bit tonight, of the number of people that tell me they can't find their ballot or they don't know what to do. So help me by weighing in a little bit.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's suppose somebody watching tonight or one of your neighbors or family members can't find their ballot. There are options. Mike, can't you show up to the polling place, one of the vote centers, and say you lost your ballot, and they'll give you a provisional ballot, right?
It's not even a provisional. Let me go over that. So correct. Vote centers opened last Saturday or Friday, and so you can go vote in person. And so it doesn't matter whether you have your absentee ballot. Certainly, if you filled out your absentee ballot, you can walk it into the vote center and put it in the box, which is probably the safest way to make sure it doesn't get lost or tampered with. But it doesn't matter. If you don't have your absentee and you just want to go vote, you show up there. You don't need a voter ID. You just tell them who you are and what your address is. They print out the ballot based on your address and your registration. They check to see whether or not you've already voted by absentee. And if you've already voted, then you cast a provisional, because chances are someone else voted instead of you, and you want to make sure that your vote counts, not theirs. But likelihood is you're going to walk in, you haven't voted, and they'll give you a ballot and you vote. Or if you've got your absentee ballot, you can mail it in. I don't recommend that, but if it's your best option, by all means, mail it in. You can drop it in a vote box, a ballot box that the county has all over the place. And regardless as to what county it is, you've got ballot boxes that get emptied every night all over the county. And then, of course, the vote centers, you can go and vote in person or drop your absentee ballot off in person. So those are your options. You don't have to worry about losing it or whether you voted or not. If you don't remember, just go to a voting center. You can vote.
I want to say again, make sure that you vote. Vote on 100% of your ballot. Again, you can Google Netter News, and you can find guides we put in Netter News. There's all kinds of guides you can Google, etc., but get your damn vote in. We can see how it's going right now in the portals by party registration, by age, and all kinds of good stuff, and we're holding our own. Remember, in my district, for example, I can see how many Democrats and Republicans voted, but I can't really tell. I just know that you've turned in a ballot. I cannot tell if you've actually voted for the office of State Senate 22. 1 second here. I'm going to go ahead and text Gloria because I know she's actually got another gig going on right now. And Gloria Romero, the lieutenant governor, she's amazing. And the story and why you need to vote for lieutenant governor and secretary of state and attorney general and state senate, the list goes on, is incredibly important. Again, I've said this so many times that those of you listen to me regularly probably think I'm going senile, which I may be. But the reality is, too late for that, is that the aggregate number of votes drops the further down ballot you go. And lieutenant governor is a pretty important position. Gentlemen, hold on. I'm going to text Gloria right now.
So this graphic I've got up on the screen, which I've been changing around, there's a new commercial out that a supporter of Spencer Pratt for mayor in LA put together. The same guy that did the Batman commercial. If you've been following Spencer Pratt's ads, the Batman commercial he did, now he's done one with Star Wars. You see the picture there. It's Spencer Pratt as a Jedi Knight. And he's throwing these bad guys around that are dressed like Darth Vader, Empire Strikes Back type uniforms, except in black instead of white. And the whole commercial is just a crack up. You've got Newsom as the evil Lord. You've got Karen Bass as Darth Vader. It's just a crack up. The creativity that's out there and going out on this. I had a guy ask me today. He goes, we're setting this new standard with this artificial intelligence generated ads, and people can put anything they want. They can lie. They can do whatever. But the reality of it is that in general, obviously, not everyone is perfect. The Republicans, they have to make stuff up in order for them to put an ad together with us. In the case of Democrats, all we're doing is using their words against them, and they're hilarious. That's why they're funny. And when they try and generate something like that against Republicans, like against Trump, it's not funny. It's not true. And everybody knows it's not true. But in the case of Karen Bass, it's true. Newsom, it's true. Kamala Harris, it's true. So I'm just sitting back and enjoying mocking the ignorance of Democrats in these ads. And Spencer Pratt is going up in the polls. He's number 2 with 22% behind Karen Bass, who has either 30 or 28, depending on which poll. And Cynthia Raymond is close third. Yes, Mike, you keep holding your fingers out like I'm going to tell you something.
For those of you that yes, for those of you, again, start it. I love Spencer Pratt. I hope he wins. None of the three of us on this show in Los Angeles. Most of the show, and that getting it or new.
I'm an immigrant from Los Angeles. I left.
I understand. Live in the state of California. And the reality, get your damn ballot and pay attention to all the offices. Spencer Pratt is awesome. No, very few people hate Karen Bass as much as me, but the reason most of you don't live in the city of Los Angeles is because of people like Karen Bass. And I hope like one day, we've got a lot of stories on Los Angeles tonight. I had to go to downtown LA today and to see some studios, to do some recording, and do drive through. And I took some pictures of the Sixth City Bridge, the new bridge they've opened as I was driving. By the way, State Farm, if you're listening.
You mean the one without lights and no copper?
Correct. Already graffiti, they continue to clean up the graffiti, etc., etc. But look, guys, it starts where the Democrats, bad Democrats, took over Los Angeles. Pay attention to your ballot, to your city council, to everything that you can. We're on the fly, as we always are on the show. And Scott, I am getting ready to send you the newest Gloria Romero video, which I literally just got in. And when Gloria comes on in a few minutes, we'll try to upload that and get that played. Is that possible while we're on the air?
I've already got it uploaded, ready to go.
No, I've got a new one. Just came in.
Oh, no. Send it to me. I'll see what I can do.
I'm trying to do that.
So I'm going to, do we have 30 seconds? I want to play your ad.
Yes, 100%. And by the way, for everyone, play my ad. I want you to watch and tell me if this scene looks familiar. Hit me.
I was going to set the scene. Now you want them to guess afterwards?
Go ahead.
So Mike was on assignment and he was in New York. And so he decided to go down the golden escalator, the one made famous in 2015 when Trump announced his candidacy for president. So we did our own Mike twist on it. Let's watch it.
California's hurting, people fed up and mad. Taxes going higher, roads looking bad. Then the crowd goes crazy, cameras all around. Mike Netter hits the escalator coming down. Netter's coming down, gonna turn it all around. From the valleys to the coast, hear the people getting loud. Jobs up, gas down, bringing common sense to town. Mike Netter's coming down to save California now.
I love that. Although I will say you were dressed more like a tourist than Trump with the red tie and the dark blue suit.
But you also have to admit it was a lot politer than Trump coming down the escalator was originally.
Well, he had an entourage. You went down by yourself too. But
exactly.
So on the bottom of the screen, we talk about, I've got voter recommendations. There's several websites out there, depending on whether you're interested in guns, Second Amendment, taxes, restoring the California dream. RobinNordell.com. She does an excellent job of interviewing, talking to, getting information on candidates. She is central in Orange County, but she does a lot of LA, Riverside, San Bernardino, and San Diego counties, as well as statewide. And the nice thing about her and a lot of these other organizations, they explain why they recommend the different people. So don't sit there and give me this excuse of I'm not voting down on the bottom part of the ballot because I don't know who they are. First of all, you can always vote Republican and know you're going to do a better job than the Democrat. But if you check out any of these websites, you'll find out where they stand, even down to judges. So no excuse about not voting the whole ballot.
Part of the challenge that I've noticed in my 6 years of doing this is that people vote for judges and inquire them more state senator, state senator, and even lieutenant governor a lot of the time, because they don't know what the office does. Scott, you should have that video in your box there.
Yeah, it'll take me a minute to upload it, but I'll grab it.
Understand. That's okay. We're waiting for Gloria to come on here. So we've all had experience with judges, for better or for worse. Traffic court, suing somebody, going with a friend to traffic court, seeing Judge Judy on television, if you will. But many people, literally your neighbors, don't know what these other offices do. And people ask me, and I've said on the show, why I'm running. Let me be clear. Democrats only have about 42 to 46%, maybe 48 on a good day registered share, but they have 75% of the legislative offices. And those legislative offices, which should get at least in the same ballpark turnout, like the Senate, like the Assembly, like controller, this goes on, like lieutenant governor, when we have Gloria on a couple of minutes, should get the same kind of turnout. But people say, one, I don't know the candidates. Two, I don't know what the office is. Well, in today's world of Google, and in many of the things like we put out, what the office is. I go, of course I know what it is. And it's not necessarily our viewers that I'm talking to. I'm talking to have to spread the word like we tell you to spread the show. Been for a second. Whoops. Here's Gloria. One sec. Hi there.
So Scott, there's a lot
We're
going
live
on
and
in these
national.
elections. There's a lot going on in these elections, Scott. But Gavin Newsom just signed a bill, which you can talk to Gloria about this. SB 73, ensuring that rigged elections can't be audited and protecting illegals going to polling stations to vote.
Say that again.
SB 73 is going to protect, not let the police be at polling stations, protect illegals, not allow auditing of fraudulent votes, etc.
Oh, because if they cheat, heaven forbid that we should
catch them.
Yeah, we are not even allowed to audit or catch them. Is that the same as the anti-Nick Shirley bill?
No, that's a different outrage.
So it's another do not catch us if we're making mistakes and giving millions of dollars to illegal aliens.
The difference with the anti-Nick Shirley bill is it's unconstitutional. If a state government could ban investigative journalism, they probably would have done that years ago, right?
Well, because you're banning free speech. So explain what the Nick Shirley bill does.
It bans journalists from photographing at NGOs or anybody involved in healthcare fraud, basically.
So rather than going after the fraud, they're basically saying you can't report on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is this new bill that you're talking about do?
Oh, this one prevents Gavin Newsom's friends from being caught cheating.
How does that work?
Well, SB 73 says you can't have the police can't take possession of any ballot boxes without a judge's order. Can't have police at polling places, and so they want to be able to commit fraud and not let you do anything about it.
So that's all because our candidate for governor, Chat Bianco, sheriff of Riverside or San Bernardino County, I guess, he went and there was a discretion or just they had a vote discretion in the tallies where the number of votes reported didn't match the number of people that voted by a lot, like 45,000. And so Bianco went and took or confiscated all of the ballots, and because that's his job, right? His job is to find crime and investigate it. And part of investigating that is to confiscate the ballots so that they cannot be tampered with, and then go through the process of counting them. And right away,
Rob reasonable to me, Scott.
And right away, Rob Bonta, our attorney general, fake attorney general, but selected, filed a lawsuit against Bianco saying, oh, no, you don't have the authority to do that. You don't have the expertise to do that. It's kind of like, hey, if a sheriff's investigating a white collar crime, dealing with, whatever embezzlement, he probably doesn't have the expertise on that either, but he can hire the expertise. He can figure out what expertise is required and then get it. I can't believe that you wouldn't do the same thing with the
obviously
ballots.
Want to cover up fraud. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Let's be honest. They want to cheat, and they're going to stop anybody that's going to expose the fact that they cheat. Minor details. All right. What's your next?
That's a turn in Los Angeles. That there's a lot of throwing money into that mayor's race because they're afraid that the communist government may be upset by the peasants' rebellion in Los Angeles City.
So they're throwing money where? On the communist side or the people side?
Well, obviously on the wrong side, because the people in charge of Los Angeles are basically communists, and there's two communists running for mayor, one city councilman and the existing mayor.
So,
but Benjamin Franklin said people get the kind of government they deserve, Scott. The question is, do the people who did didn't vote them deserve that mess. The homeless people and the drugs and the naked zombies that are not functioning. You know, when I was a teenager, we used to go to Westwood Village to see college girls and hang out, and all the new movies came out in Westwood Village, and it was a cultural center.
All right, wait a second. Let me clarify this. Are you telling me that the girls of UCLA are better looking than the USC girls, and that's why you went there?
USC girls would go there with their dates, and that's what we were there to see.
Oh, sure. Okay, just want to clarify this.
But in any case, everyone went to Westwood in those days. Now, all the movie theaters are closed. The movie theaters are closed. Most of the stores are closed, and 5,500 homeless people live on the streets in Westwood. They've destroyed it.
In front of Rodeo Drive and Chanel stores and all the other things.
Well, those stores are gone. Westwood was more, student-friendly eateries and restaurant bars, and there was what's his name? The guy who was in The Odd Couple, Matthau. Walter Matthau had a Jack's Corn Crib there in the 80s. I mean, all kinds of fun stuff was there. And, they basically destroyed a nice place.
Yeah, and that has
when I drove down Westwood Boulevard to do our KABC radio show, I remember driving down Westwood Boulevard and seeing a local pharmacy on my left on the east side of the street that said, "We don't have any pharmaceuticals or money. Like, please don't rob us."
Yeah. That sounds like the streets of San Francisco, where they park their car on the street and they leave the windows down and the doors unlocked and the trunk popped so that nobody breaks the car when they go in and figure out that there isn't anything to steal. So they're not breaking windows.
Well, the problem, Scott, is it's not just Los Angeles. It's not just Los Angeles and San Francisco, but it's all the blue cities now.
Well, and those cities that are becoming blue. San Diego's got 3 or 4 times the amount of homeless that it had just a decade ago. And that city has been going from red to purple to now dark blue over the last 20 years. Orange County, the Board of Supervisors, has got a Democrat majority, and you're starting to see more and more homeless in Orange County.
Gloria's in the green room finally.
Okay. Let's let her in. You can introduce her. Hey, Gloria.
Gloria, hold on one second. I'm going to introduce you. It's Gloria Romero. And for all of us that do live television, live radio, I was looking for Gloria's email under real. This is the real Gloria, but it's Gloria. Gloria, it is such a pleasure to have you. I want to start off by Gloria Romero is one of those people that saw the light of day, but I'm going to surprise Gloria, open my own show. Scott, we just got a brand new video in.
Yeah, it's still uploading though, so I can't play that one.
Okay, so the show's surprising me. It's one of those nights. Gloria Romero, I'm really honored to have you. I say this about a few guests, but you're one of the ones that actually mean it.
He actually likes you, so that works out well.
Well, thank you.
There's a lot of guests. You were the leader of the Senate, and you were a Democrat. And I apologize to small puppies for cussing out there, but you were not just any Democrat. Explain to people before we get to the main thing of why you're here tonight, what you were and what it is. Because got to remember, a lot of people don't know even what the state Senate is. You're on.
Well, thank you so much. And again, too, the admiration is mutual. The respect is mutual. And it's great to be on California Free Radio. So, yes, I was the majority leader of the California State Senate. Basically means that's number 2 in the Senate. Basically, I count the votes, move the agenda forward. It's a big deal. If you go up to the Capitol, go to the majority leader's office, you've got the plush red carpet, all of that. You kind of get an idea of the significance of the office by the trappings. It's a beautiful office, and it was an honor to serve. So I was the majority leader. But I walked away from the Democrat Party over time. As Ronald Reagan once said, I didn't leave the party left me. A few decades separated myself and former President Reagan, but the same kind of challenges. And for anybody who knew me, even when I was a Democrat and when I was the majority leader of the Senate, they always knew that I was, in a way, a bad Democrat because I was one of those Democrats who actually believed in parent rights and school choice. And what really befuddles people is that if you look back in the congressional record, you look back in history, and we found that President Kennedy, Senator Bobby Kennedy at that time, they believed in school choice. And that's something that the Democrat Party today has really fought against because of the power of the teachers union. So, we can talk about that in the conversation today, but the thing that I really separated me out of the Democrat Party, that's really what began it, but there were many issues after that, was I was one of those old-fashioned Democrats from the Kennedy era that believed that school choice has to be an option because education is the key to the American dream. And without it, you find especially low income children, kids in rural communities, many minority children trapped in failing schools year after year, generation after generation, because of the way that our districts are run, the contracts are issued, the lack of standards really when it comes to the professionalism in the classroom, the lack of meritocracy. You get a lot of these issues, and the ones who end up basically paying the price are really the most vulnerable, who the Democrat Party claims they represent. So that was sort of the final straw for me. But those are the roots of my discontent with the Democrat Party.
Well,
And
Gloria,
Gloria,
I have a question about that because
by the way, this is
in
Kurt, and
Washington
this is
D.C.
Scott,
when
my
they had
co-host.
when they had school choice, it was many black parents that were the biggest supporters of school choice.
Absolutely. And if you take a look at public opinion polling today, overwhelmingly you will find that minority parents, African American, Latino parents really are in favor of having options because many parents might not be able to know exactly what the standards are, but many parents do know, look, my kid isn't reading at basic levels of proficiency. So, in the era of school choice, we have found that some of the communities that really gravitate towards charter schools, independent schools, when you place them in areas of California that the traditional neighborhood school is just failing the kids, you put up a charter school and many will go there. If families could afford a religious school, a Catholic school, for example, they would be going there. Usually, many families can't afford the extra tuition, but that's why in public education, we have options like public charter schools. And the overwhelming support for charter schools is especially high in those communities that are most impacted by the failing grades. But I was called a bad Democrat in those days. And still to this day, is really one to say that I was a bad person for fighting for school choice.
And Gloria, I want
So
to
I
take a
see
step back.
it's hard to.
Go ahead, Scott.
I was just saying it's hard to remove all the vestiges of being a Democrat. I see you're still driving a Prius.
It is a Prius. It's secondhand. It used to be my daughter's. My old little clunker fell apart. But it is here. And actually, it's great. I mean, I'm not going to ding the Prius. I think I'm going on 190,000 miles. And I have racked up the miles up and down the 5 freeway, the 99, the 280. I think I've been on every freeway in California. California is a beautiful state. And if there is something, sort of the equivalent of the old, you have this image of these old iconic campaigns where you get in the pickup and you go, well, mine's not the pickup, it's the Prius. So it's a little bit more affordable, even though Gavin Newsom has raised the taxes on our gas.
And I want to jump in because Gloria and I have known each other now when I'm going to say this, when she was actually a Democrat, when we met, right? And it's funny, Gloria, because I'm from the era where and I know we use the term a lot, the Democrats left you. But I'm going to say that what I know, and what I guess you know, is the Democrats today have kind of like left reality. I mean, some of these, it's not even Democrat. people are like, oh my God, you know, the Democrats I grew up with were just people that believed in different economic theory. Today, it's almost like some of them have been beamed in from somewhere, from an alternate universe, like a cartoon. I know it's been a ton of time on it, but I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to embarrass Gloria on the air, but she's actually normal. Yes, indeed. She's a normal person who happened to be a registered Democrat. If you've ever heard her speak, I'm so glad you're on our side. I'm still not sure it's not your dog Tubby doing some kind of vocal cast when you're on stage, but amazingly powerful. But the reality is, I want to say, Gloria, sorry, you didn't join the Republican Party. You kind of joined normalcy in California. I mean, I don't know another way to put it, because we can go back and forth on a few theories here. But the reality is, I mean, give me your opinion on that, because I see so many voter guys that want to put in their news. They recommend Gloria, a little debate on governor, but it's, I mean,
as we catch on 3 words out of 5.
Yes.
Well, you're right in that sense. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You know, if I think about being a Democrat and looking at what I saw, well, you can begin with not being able to define what a woman is. I mean, you start there. That is crazy. That men can get pregnant. That you have to put tampons in the boys' bathrooms. That girls' sports are not for girls and women only. That climate change, that allegedly, and this was so interesting. I've gone through a bunch of editorial endorsements. Of course, I haven't gotten any of them from the legacy media. There was one editorial board. He was the chief leader of it, and he got into this argument with me. And I'm thinking, well, excuse me, I'm telling you my thoughts. You don't have to agree with me, but these are my thoughts, because he was insisting that the fire in the Palisades in Los Angeles was climate change. And I'm like, no, this was incompetent management by the governor of California and the mayor of Los Angeles, with empty reservoirs and a fire that was not put out and all of that undergrowth. Yes, there was an arsonist as well. And he kept saying, well, look around the world, Spain and this, and the temperatures are rising. I guess he has to go back and read the New York Times and the United Nations subcommittee report that are questioning climate change now. So I finally just said, to end of the conversation, I just said, well, you know what? There is a lawsuit against the city of LA. Discovery is happening now. You might want to read the litigation. And that's what finally ended it, because after you read that, the man-made human error in the name of very woke, climate change policies that are not science-based, that's finally where he finally just ended the conversation. But that's the burning down of the city. The mayoral candidate who's gotten traction in LA, Spencer Pratt, he basically just says, look, they let us burn. And that was the policy. They let us burn. The undergrowth, you don't clear anything out. Of course, if there's a spark of fire, you're going to see everything blow up. But it's not to say that there isn't the mitigation that had to be taken place beforehand. So it's just crazy. All of those policies and more were ways in which I just thought it doesn't make sense. I think the big one to me, finally, the final, when I finally just said, that's it, I'm out of here, was as bad a candidate as Joe Biden was. At least he went through a primary. It was a rigged primary. Bobby Kennedy was thrown off. They didn't let him on. A lot of other stuff happened. But after that, 14 million Democrats, went out, cast a vote for one candidate, like in a banana republic. And then even then, they pulled the plug when George Clooney saw what Joe Biden looked like and sounded like. And so they pulled out Joe Biden, anointed an even worse candidate. And that was a political coup committed by the so-called party of democracy. I mean, it was the banana republic. And I just said, enough. And I said, that's it. I cannot tolerate it any longer. And I walked away. In the meantime, I had been looking at the Republicans, and I did admire President Trump for a lot of what he did on the economy, on looking at closing the border, school choice. I mean, he knew what a woman was. there are a lot of issues there. I respected many of his views on non-foreign intervention, a lot of issues that were there. And I just find, and putting the American worker first. And the thing that I really appreciated was at the Republican convention, you had the Teamsters there speaking. They didn't endorse, but the fact that the Teamsters, I mean, sort of this iconic representative of the working man in America was there, that was huge and really began to signify that the American working class recognized which party really stood for the working class. And that's what I am. I'm a daughter of the working class. So I didn't recognize the left coast elites with all of their, their fancy stuff and abandoning the American worker. So there was so much that was there why I finally just said, I don't recognize that party anymore.
And for everyone
I have to say, Gloria, I should say, one of the things that people need to know about you, Gloria, is that you were a champion of parents' rights and school choice, like we talked about, before it was popular. And the Democratic Party has been owned by the CTA for decades. And you stood aside, you stood apart from that, and you fought the biggest union in the state to try and save our kids, who they're trying to change sex and do all these weird things to now. And even before that, though, you were, hey, the parents are in charge. The parents know what's best. Let the parents decide what school is the best for their kid. But that's a concept that Democrats can't stand, because they would lose all their CTA support.
Right. And I appreciate that. Yeah, I fought for parent rights, for school choice. My mother had a 6th grade level of education. So she always emphasized to all of us that education is the way that you pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you move forward. Progress in America is because of an education. And so she fought for that for her children. And I'm the beneficiary of that. So I did take that on. It was a big issue. You do not cross the CTA. Well, I did. And ultimately, we were able to get some significant parent rights, parent choice legislation on the books in California. But I will tell you, though, actually, the way that worked, which shows how important not having a monopoly one-party governance in California is, it's because by the time I was able to write that legislation, remember that Gray Davis had already been recalled. So we had Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was a fan of school choice. And so I was able to figure it out and to say, if I align myself with the entire Republican caucuses in the Assembly and the Senate, line up all the votes, run the bills, and then just basically I had to go and beg for maybe 5 or 6 Democrats in each house to please join us on behalf of working class kids, to give them a right to leave a school when the state of California identifies it as chronically underperforming, failing.
And I want to leap on something here that I don't think, and again, for everybody out there, everyone knows I do a lot of social media and I get a lot of feedback back and forth. This has been shared with the walkaway groups tonight, those of you that walk away. But and Gloria, I don't think we've ever had this conversation in all the conversations we have here. Look, God bless those of you that walk away from the Democrat Party. I mean that. Most of you, that means changing your registration. God bless you, and voting for the R. Gloria, talking to you, and with the way you talk about the unions, I'm not going to go all the stories here. You have to really, and we've never had this conversation, so now live on California Free Radio. I'm amazed at what you walk away from. It's almost like one of those mob novels in New York when you talk about you walked away, and we're going to get to, I want to focus on your run for lieutenant governor. You walked away from the support of it. It's kind of like walking away from La Cosa Nostra and open your own numbers game in the streets of Manhattan. I mean, it's unbelievable what you walked away from. And walked into, amazed me, about you, walk away from the Democratic Party and the infrastructure. Now you said, well, I'm now going to run for as a Republican. And for those of you out there that say, well, I'm afraid to talk to my neighbor, I might not return my war, you really have to get your arms around what Gloria has done, sitting in her Prius now like a witness from the unions. Okay, I mean, there's quite the structure we know about. You were the star of the 14th Street family, or whatever metaphor you want to use. It's easy now, and you come over to our side and found out we're kind of like sometimes the gang that shouldn't shoot straight, which we are, which I'm sure that literally you're running for lieutenant governor. And I want to spend, people don't know what the lieutenant governor does and how important an office it is. Let's spend a few minutes on that a little bit. What are because the old joke, you're not just waiting for the governor to necessarily whatever. And when we say golden ticket, by the way, it's a separate vote. For those of you that haven't had civics, when you vote for the Republican of your choice, Gloria is automatically in. It's a separate vote. You must check another box. Explain some of the duty, governor.
Well, this is a great one because, nobody knows who the lieutenant governor is. Up and down the state of California, when we do the town halls, I always start by asking, who knows who the lieutenant governor is? Maybe in a crowd of about 200, maybe 5 hands go up, and that's a lot if 5 hands go up. Nobody knows who it is, much less what they do or any accomplishments. So here's a few things. First, the lieutenant governor is the president of the Senate. And I think, well, voila, because remember, I was the majority leader. I know where the bodies are buried. I know the rules of the Senate. And what's important there is that the governor makes nominations for confirmation to get, the secretaries to run, whether it's health, transportation, the prison system, you name it. The secretaries go through some of the key appointments like the University of California, the regents, the trustees, a lot of the education board, the state board of education that oversees TK through 12, all kinds of them, the coastal commission. Well, myself as lieutenant governor, day one, I would sit down with all 40 senators, Republican and Democrat, because you've got to move from campaigning to governance. And you want to start talking about, okay, we are now in office. Let's say that it's Steve Hilton. I hope that it is. And basically, here's the administration. We don't want to have lawfare, but we want to move the nominations forward. So it's a key position that hardly any other lieutenant governor ever talks about, much less thinks about. But given that I was majority leader, I know how those votes are held, how they're posted, what becomes interim, when the time runs out, all of that. So that's key. Additionally, I would serve on every board of higher education in California, the regents for the UC, the trustees for the Cal State, the community college systems. And just a couple of things, for example, at the UC, imagine that, Title IX, that's a big issue. I believe in girls' sports, women's sports. And right now, we've seen all these athletic opportunities that biological girls are just losing out on. So I would be a lieutenant governor who knows what a woman is, to speak up and lead on these issues. Some other key areas as well, too. And you might have heard that UCLA was just sued again yesterday by Harmeet Dillon. Woohoo!
Kurt, you heard about that. Kurt's going to talk about that later in the show.
Wonderful.
By the way, not to stop your flow for 1 second, how many on these boards, again, I really want to pound this home, because on these UC Board of Regents and on these educational boards that the lieutenant governor serves on, and I don't know the answer to this trivia question, even running for state senate, how many members does the public get a voting say in? Isn't it just the lieutenant governor?
Yeah. I mean, you vote for the governor who makes the nomination, but the governor.
But the actual person who serves on there,
lieutenant
governor for everybody out there. I get it. You get a vote for the governor. The governor makes the appointments, and we don't like the current one, but lieutenant governor, which is an independent office, that is the only office, folks, where you really have someone that place a vote for that has a say in the upper and I'll say lower education in the state. Am I right, Gloria?
Absolutely. And when you think about it, remember that in the very bloated government of California, almost half, over 40% of the budget is spent on education. And so that means then the state board of education, the regions, the trustees, the governors of the community colleges, that's 40% of the California budget that the people of California, yeah, they don't vote for, but they would vote for me. And I will be on well, not on the state board of education. Uh, I would be on all of higher education, but I'm not going to stop there. I am going to create a TK through 16 education pipeline to connect the systems together. And one of the reasons that's so important is because you might have heard a couple of months ago, the University of California, San Diego. This is one of the pearls in the system, world renowned system, University of California. UC San Diego put out a report saying, you know what? We've got too many of our incoming freshmen. They can't do math. They're not reading at grade level. UCLA, again, too, and just a couple of days ago, I think there's 800 faculty now in the UC system have signed a petition saying you've got students entering Berkeley and UCLA and UC Irvine and Riverside, and they can't do math, and they're supposed to be in math and the biosciences. It's not working. We've got to rethink this because what's happened is that the back part of the TK through 12 system, it's failed, and it's just social promotion without any type of standardized testing because it's not considered to be equitable then, because it would reveal how many kids are failing in low income schools. They're not testing anymore. So the whole thing is a mess. So as lieutenant governor, I would be a strong voice to make sure that we really work and prioritize getting our education stuff together. It's failing everybody right now.
And I want to
What a
throw an
novel
additional
concept.
pitch here before I let Scott and Kurt chime in, and then we're going to do a world premiere. So stay tuned out there. I'm really and have a decent experience in knowing a little bit how government works. You have to know metric. I don't really give a damn what anybody says. The educational system is running well. Either the sued or the kids can't read or they don't know math or whatever. What amazing things about you putting your out there. Notice how polite I'm being because we're live. You can fill in what posterior means. Is that they hit the ground knowing the nuts and bolts of the mechanism and needs to be done to fix it, right? Because you've been in that seat.
Right.
You get and I'm going to be leaning on you when I get elected, metaphorically, of course. So this is an ad pitch for you, because for those out there that think they're going to this other person because they sound good for lieutenant governor or it's not important, no, this is, we have not had a good lieutenant governor in a very, well, since Newsom was the one before, in a very long time. I'll leave it at that. Do you
since
know
Mike Curb?
How it works? Scott and Kurt, as always, they take up all of the airtime. Ask Gloria a couple questions, and Gloria, I know you've got a busy night. I wanted to view your video again, but Scott and Kurt, hit Gloria with a few questions. Kurt, as all disclosure, is a licensed attorney, and in 2 years he has not sued me yet, so I'll leave it at that. Go ahead.
Not yet, anyway.
Yes.
So, Gloria, as a graduate of Los Angeles City Schools, it's tragic how that district has been destroyed.
Right.
They're laying off people, I read, and the graduation rates are low and the literacy rates are low. What is the solution? Is it the CEO Act and giving parents choices? Is it having standards and not having social promotion? What is your plan to improve education in California?
That is the $1 million question. It's 40% of the $1 billion question. But there's a lot that has to be done. I would start with this. I would start by saying it's not about money. And remember, Gavin Newsom stood up and said, I'm now going to increase the investment in per pupil spending to $28,000. I'm sure he was prompted by CTA to say, raise the thing. But notice it's spending, but it's not outcomes. And that's what I think we have to shift it. It's not how much money we put into the system, what's the outcome out. We find that the most important variable still in the classroom, it's the teacher, and it's the caliber and the quality. So where would I begin? First of all, we've got to make sure that our kids are reading by age 9, by 3rd grade, because the whole way we learn is first you learn to read, and then you use that skill. You then read to learn. Even to do mathematics today, it's no longer just those numbers that you see, the numerals. You have to read the problems. So if you are not reading by 3rd grade, after that, you are already being left behind. And there cannot be social promotion because it will catch up to you. So I believe strongly in phonics. It's a story as old as time. It's successful. They even call it the science of reading. They try to get fancy about it. The legislature doesn't want it. The governor doesn't want it, but it's crazy. It works. We've got to get our kids reading. That's one thing. The next thing as well is the caliber of the teacher. And here's where I have seen there is a disconnect between the rank and file teachers who are professionals, want to be professionals, and the executive board of the teachers unions, which are pure politics. And they're in it for the powers, the power, the pensions, the pay, the perks. And I get it. They're fighting for their members, but that's why it's become a public work system. It's not a public education system. And we've got to put the education back in. So you have to reform the way in which we give tenure. Right now in California, tenure, which basically means a job for life. It's due process, but it's essentially a job for life. Once you get tenure, it becomes virtually impossible to fire a teacher who's not doing well, even if they've molested a student. That's when they go into what they call the rubber room and all of that. And it takes millions of dollars and lawyers to try to fire somebody. Right now in California, basically, if you can breathe and show up in the classroom for 18 months, you got a job for life. And it doesn't work. So we need to basically modify how much time to get tenure. You can think about whether or not we offer tenure. I'm fine with offering protections, job protections, but not after 18 months. In the universities, for example, the Cal State system and the University of California, it's like 7 years before you get tenure. So you compare that 7 years in our universities, 18 months, TK through 12, and then we send the product into the universities, and all of a sudden it's not working anymore. So we have to reevaluate that. I believe that there has to be some portion, I advocated 20%, but some portion of the contract that's tied to merit, that is tied to student outcome, so that when we give promotions and hiring, we have to use some kind of a merit-based system that is in some measure based upon the outcome of student achievement. Because if not, you're just putting out widgets, and it doesn't matter if they're coming out not being able to read or write. Those are some key things there. Then, of course, there's all the parent choice. But remember, parent choice largely comes in because they recognize after a while these schools are failing and I want out. If districts were to turn it around and really focus on turning around their own systems, honestly, you probably wouldn't need a charter school. You probably wouldn't need homeschooling. So it's all connected together, but through it all, you've got to make sure that the parents understand what's happening and that no child is ever mutilated or transitioned, or their issues are kept private, are kept hidden from the parent themselves. So there's a lot of things, but start with the teachers, start with performance, start with the contracts, how the teachers get distributed in the system. And that all goes into seniority as well. And then really the most important, read. You got to read by 3rd grade. Otherwise, We have a, Houston, we have a problem, and we do have a problem in California. Mississippi has passed us by. I mean, that's incredible. The state of Mississippi is doing much better than California in any type of academic progress now.
Yeah, so
they
now
just
we're
got
50th
penciled
instead
6
of
months
50.
ago.
Yes.
Hey, Gloria, we've got the worldwide premiere of this commercial that
we're going to roll. We're about it while we're on the air. Welcome to live show here. But before we leave this and play this, I want to really stress something here. You have, well, I'm going to put it this way: the three people you see on screen right now. When we were in high school, the car was barely invented. I'll leave it at that. What you have is
no, we had V8s, but they were
further
new.
Generation talking about, yeah, you get the drift. You have like Gloria standing up the next generation of kids, not people that are supposed to be teaching our kids, and those rights of workers are important. But isn't it about somebody stood up for the kids themselves? Because in case you haven't figured it out now, they're going to be in charge eventually. And I'd like them to be able to read, pronounce words, balance a checkbook, and know, sorry, Gloria, the difference between a Civic and a Prius, that a Civics is actually a course you should be taking, not a car that you can only afford to drive because you can't get a job. And I want you to listen today, spread this show. And again, if you ever get the chance, look at some of the videos before we even watch the promo video, if you will. Go to Gloria's website. Listen how impassioned she is. Because she's not doing this like Gavin, who has to do this because that's all he knows how to do. Gloria is doing this, a lot like me, sorry, Gloria, because we simply give a damn and want to serve. And these are the people you need in charge of California. Pretty simple. Gloria, have you seen this yet?
I've seen it, but before it was in its final form. So this is actually the premiere for me too. And let me give a shout out to my communications director, Jeffrey Whitaker. He really worked with me to create this, so I want to give him a shout out as well. Very talented young man.
Excellent. We have one
right,
a shout out.
We're probably not going to do the whole 4 minutes, but we'll do the first half. Here you go.
Start.
What has gone wrong? She's got the vision and the fire. Step into the light. Ready for the future. Ready for the fight. Feel the energy rising. It's time to make a stand. Gloria, Gloria, leading the way. She holds the line. Her spirit won't be swayed. Building up California, a promise that she's made. From the valleys to the cities, the message rings so clear. A champion for the future. The moment is right here. Feel the energy rising. It's time to make a stand. Gloria, Gloria, leading the way to a brighter tomorrow.
Yay!
Now,
that's half
I
of
am
it.
going.
Very well done.
Yes, that is an amazing video. And Gloria, I know you may saw my video early. By the way, I mean coming down the stairs of Trump Tower. And by the way, it took
We still
16
can't.
takes.
I can't see you, Mike. Where'd you go?
Oh, sorry, I turned my camera off.
He's hiding.
It took
He's in,
16 takes
in,
for me to
in.
not fall down. It took a village to make me look good. Gloria posts this all over the place, and here's what I want everybody to do before we let you go, because I really appreciate you coming on tonight because you're big time. Everyone out there, we talk about doing the show. This is on Gloria's feed too, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on my feed, on Scott's feed. Spread this, because again, the party which has taken over California is not the Democrats. You've heard me say this a million times. Party of apathy. Those that don't vote for lieutenant governor, that don't know what the office is, that pick art, that don't understand the candidates. Put your divide down. Gloria can't cross the divide, not necessarily to side with the Republicans, sorry, rednecks, to side with normalcy and for Californians, because we're all Californians, and it's about time we do what Gloria did and stood up for being Californians and unite as one. Gloria, this is going to sound rather draconian. Do you have any final words?
Vote today. This is a critical election. We can make California golden again. I ask you to go out and vote. We need to do this not only for ourselves, but for our children, to make sure that California really becomes that land that our parents gave to us and that we want to pass on to our children. So I'm so grateful to everybody. I'm honored that I get to be the nominee for the Republican Party to be lieutenant governor. And I'm excited. I'm ready to do my part. And I just ask everybody for their vote. And I thank you, California Free Radio, for the premiere of the video and for having me on tonight. It's a real honor, and I thank you.
And bless you. Before you leave, in Netter News Today, distributed in California, we have that great interview with Gloria on Channel 5. Take it and spread it. And we're not saying this because, as everyone knows, we don't make money on this. This is like religion. You have to spread the word. If you're watching this, you may be already in. Our job is to convert the undecided. Gloria, thank you for coming across the Great Divide. Thank you for being on our side, because I wouldn't want to be against you. God bless you. Go to Gloria's website, vote, 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 and vote for state senate, because I'll get my pitch in. But vote for Gloria Romero for lieutenant governor, and I hope you're in charge of me in the Senate sometime soon. Thank you. See you on the campaign trail.
Take care, Gloria.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's great to have her here. And her website, I know it's been scrolling across the bottom of the screen, but for those that are listening to the show, it's Gloria Romero, the number 4, and then LTGov, which is lieutenantgovernor.com. So Gloria Romero for LTGov.com. All right,
Scott,
guys.
Up with the LT.
I figured that all out. Yeah. It's the light governor. Governor Light.
Exactly. We're the Governor Light now. Kurt, I want to give part of the show over to you.
He's lighting the loafers. Yes, we agree.
That's a different thing.
I want to cover.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
There's so many stories this week about vote. But the one on UCLA, the one on billionaires. Let's hit. Kurt, that's your cue.
Well, Gloria already sound. One very concerning thing, Mike, is in Escondido, California, which is San Diego County, Mike's stomping ground.
My old hometown where my house burned. Sorry. Yep.
Yes, in Escondido, there was a Trump supporter that had all kinds of Trump stuff on his property. And he is a veteran and he was beaten up by Democrats and he died. That's a hate crime. That's a political crime, and there needs to be consequences for that. And so I want to know: are they being prosecuted? Are they being prosecuted federally? Are they being prosecuted by the state of California? That's not acceptable. And more, guys, there are violent liberals that are engaging in hate against conservatives. It's not acceptable.
That's
Yeah, I would agree.
someone because that's from house
I'm
burner.
sorry.
Raised my kids in Eskin, and the fact something will take place that in my old town is beyond deplorable.
It's unacceptable. All right, then let's talk about gas prices and Newsom's oil incompetence. Chevron didn't like what Governor Newsom was doing. Shocking. And they put up stickers on their pumps indicating why gas prices are so high in California. And Newsom became very petty, like he always does, and petulant. And as a result, Newsom went ahead and told people not to buy Chevron gas because it was expensive. What Newsom did when he essentially committed consumer fraud, in my opinion, is failed to differentiate between the cheap gas and gas, the premium gas that may have various detergents and other things in it. But think about how awful it is when a governor is telling people not to buy them that employs Californians.
Yeah. And by the way,
attacking any particular business in California.
All right. Well, tonight, if you get a chance to watch the Spencer Pratt on Gutfeld, and there's an LA mayor's race, and apparently Nithya Raman, who's a communist on the Los Angeles City Council, was upset that there was a homeless encampment outside of her house. How about that? What a hypocritical communist she is.
Who was that?
Nithya Raman.
So the LA mayoral candidate,
Yep,
had homeless living outside her house, and she was upset about it.
yeah.
Who would have
Rules
thought?
for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, hello. I mean, it's her fault that that all the homeless are out there. So, oh yeah, I feel really bad about that.
World's smallest violin.
Yes.
All right, then
that's this world's smallest violin.
Let's see. An important initiative on the November ballot. We're talking a lot about the June ballot, but this matters. The unions have put an initiative on the November ballot to limit hospital executive pay to $450,000 per year. So, what do you think is going to happen to hospitals? They're going to do what? They're going to lower their pay, Scott, or are they going to do something else?
Well, they have a couple of options. One, it's hard to leave the state and get a job with another hospital.
They'll just move the hospital headquarters out of the state and take the jobs with them in the tax revenue.
Well, definitely the headquarters will go out. But when you're talking about hospital administrators, usually they're in the hospital that they're administering. And so you
probably
can't really
don't make $450 a year.
Oh no, they make a lot of money. They've got a lot of responsibility. They're running a multi-million-dollar operation, and they deserve every penny of it. But yeah, they'll figure out a way to get other compensation. You know, they'll get the car allowance, they'll get the stock options, they'll get other ways to get around it. But there's the basic thing, you pegged it right at the beginning, is that what business does Newsom have in deciding what the appropriate pay is for a hospital administrator with all the responsibility that they have?
It's none of his business, and I think they'll be sued.
No. Well, hold. The unions keep proposing stuff like this. Fair enough, gentlemen?
Yes.
Here's what I propose to everybody. Here's what I propose. Next cycle, we get it on the ballot that head of a union and a separate one for public can make $150,000 a year. What do you think of that?
That's a
why,
good one, Mike.
Why stop there? Why don't we just insist that it become a volunteer position as a union member that's still employed as a teacher or whatever, and they don't get any money, and if they get any compensation at all, it's illegal.
Well, the other thing is,
hold on,
Mike. I've got an even better
Sorry
one.
to jump in.
Let's tax the unions. Let's have apply the corporate tax rate to the union, or even a higher rate.
Yeah, but come right back.
Great idea. Tax the union dues.
The people that are proposing this, wrangling up the rank and file, and to Gloria's point, it's not the teacher or the nurse, are the heads of these unions making $500,000 up to $800,000 a year with bonuses. Let's limit their damn pay. However we construct it.
Yeah, or no pay, right?
Right, or no pay. But my point is, they should not be serving. Look, a CEO of a hospital, which is a private industry much of the time, or even a public one, gives a rate of return to investors or does things. The head of a union is living on my tax money and other people's money, making an exorbitant amount of cash, that there are subs for those jobs in less of a competitive market. And I'll leave it at that. But that one just really ticks me off. And by the way, for the current election, let me be clear on this. Every initiative and law change is taking place in November. So I spent a lot of time on shows this week. What are we doing? Measure it. If it's on the ballot now, it's a tax increase, which they put on during the primary to get them through. So let me be clear, if it's on your ballot now, how you should vote. You guys ready?
No.
No more of my damn money. No, if it's on the ballot during the primary, it is a measure designed to rob your pocket. Oh, this is interesting. Scott, send me this graphic.
Okay, so United Food and Commercial Workers Union president, $656,000 a year. The different local for the same union, $608,000. Airline Pilots Association, $569,000. International Brotherhood of Trade Unions, $523,000. International Longshoremen, $495,000 a year. United Service Workers Union, $454,000. United Food and Commercial, a different local, $440,000, $407,000. International Union of Operating Engineers, $400,000. There's American Federation of Teachers, $403,000.
That's from 8 years ago, and that's from 8 years.
This is 2018. This is 8 years ago. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Kurt, give us a couple.
All right, you're going to be mad about the illegal alien stuff this week.
So let's go ahead and listen here.
All right, we'll go fast. Illegal aliens. California is giving free solar panels to illegal aliens. Rubio says there's 20 nations that will now take their illegal alien citizens back. And an illegal alien truck driver from India is accused of killing 2 Californians on May 19th earlier this month.
Yeah, and they were licensed in California. And then you have some, the Supreme Court decided not to hear that dispute between California and Florida. Now, the Constitution, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Mr. Attorney. The Constitution basically says that states would go directly to the Supreme Court to resolve disputes between the states. So here's a dispute. Florida doesn't believe that California is following the rules and issuing commercial driver's licenses, and they're giving incompetent and illegals that can't even read English California or commercial driver's licenses, and they're causing accidents that are killing people. And so Florida wanted California to live by the standards that they are all supposed to be living to. And the Supreme Court decided not to hear the case. So,
Scott, since we're at the end of the show, I'll make it fast for you. The Supreme Court screwed up in Alito, where Thomas pointed that out. It was a bad decision.
but here's my question for you, Kurt. If you were Ron DeSantis of Florida, and you got basically a no decision, right? They said basically we're not going to interfere.
Oh, I just go ahead and withdraw the suit and file a slightly different one and go again.
Oh, why shouldn't you just sit there and say, well, wait a minute, we were trying to get them to follow the rules, so now we're not going to honor any commercial driver's licenses issued by California or Washington. And
Or
just
any
arrest-
driver's license. Any driver's license. Just
commercial driver's licenses in particular, and from those two states in particular, because the Supreme Court basically said we don't care. So to me, that means you can regulate it. You don't have to file a lawsuit and arrest every single one that drives without a valid
Florida license.
commercial
You bet.
driver's
Make
license.
it go back to the Supreme Court, then take the case then.
And of course, you're going to have legitimate California and Washington commercial driver's license guys. They're going to get hurt by that. But that's what the Supreme Court.
Some of those people are going
says.
to be leaving the state anyway. All right, one last thing before we go, guys, and this makes me angry as we approach the 250th anniversary of our great country. There is a woman who is running for Congress, a Democrat, that refuses to say the Pledge of Allegiance because she doesn't like our country. So why is she running for Congress, Scott and Mike?
Oh, like Ilhan Omar, she hates the country and wants to change it into their mold. She's a communist. In the old days, she would have been laughed off the ballot. Now she's a serious contender in the Democrat Party. And what does that tell you?
In the old
about
days,
the
they knew what
Democrat
to do
Party?
with traitors 250 years ago.
Yeah, they'd hang them.
We should honor, we just had Memorial Day. And on Memorial Day, we
Eddie.
honored Nathan Hale. Nathan Hale was in the U.S. military during the Revolutionary War, and he volunteered to spy on the British. He was caught, and William Howe ordered he be hanged, which was a very harsh penalty at the time. And Nathan Hale said his only regret is he had but one life to give for his country. So we honor Nathan Hale on Memorial Day, 250 years later.
And we try to dishonor these schmuck Democrats. But I repeat myself.
Everyone out
You were going to say, Mike?
there. Yeah, I want to end on this. Get out there and vote. Next week, for some election results, but I need you to get out there and vote.
If you're not in line, if you're not in line by 8:00 next Tuesday, you can't vote. So you have to vote before that, and you can vote anytime, any day. Do it over the weekend. Do it tonight. Do it tomorrow. You can do it.
Get your butt out
Hey.
there. Start a show by seeing its currency.
And vote all the way down the ballot. And there's voter guides that we can, and you guys, the social media, find them.
Go America. That's where we're at. All right, we're going to go out with our normal song. We'll see you guys next week.
They said trust the experts while they locked up the town. Gave us 12 more genders. Took our paychecks down. Flag on the porch. They call you extreme while they cash big checks and scream on your screen. Tear up the script like it's 1776. Hey, hey. They're allergic to bricks and sticks. All bark